The president signed it to a man's name and to his heirs, successors, and her signs forever. When he did that and he touched his signature to it, no government can take the property away unless the person reconsents. And that's what I'm going to get into now. In just about all things, including the Internal Revenue Service, they will try to recontract with you even after you've done all the right things. This is the problem with Ron Gibson. I went down there and I did a seminar later. Now, Ron got so good at this, he wrote a book. He got so good at this, he became a federal qualified witness in court cases on land patents. It's not an easy thing to do. And he could show up and he could testify in court on your behalf when you're defending the land patent. And he's good at it. And he got so good at it, except he forgot one thing. See, I showed up in Central Oregon to put on a class just like this. And Ron was sitting right in the middle of the group. And he started listening to me doing my standard seminar stuff that I always do, which is never the same twice. And he comes up to me at lunchtime, first day. He says, David, I got a little problem. I need your help. And I said, what's that? He says, some of the people that put land patent things on, the counties have foreclosed on their house. And I said, really? That's not good. No. They can't do that legally. I know that. You know that. They can't do that. Then how are they doing it? We got to figure out how they're doing it. I said, great. Come over to my hotel room as soon as we're done here today. And we were going to figure this thing out. Well, he couldn't do it that night. He said, well, I can do it tomorrow night. I said, great. Let's do this. We got to figure this thing out. We can't have this. This stuff we're teaching out here, and it's got to be right. And it's got to be important, right? We cannot have this. So the first night, I took the opportunity to call as many people I could get a hold of in my contact list that I had done land patents for. And you know what? I got a hold of most of them. I just became a telemarketer. And I got a hold of most of them. And none of them had ever had their home taken from them. I thought, well, what's the issue? What's the difference? And the difference is what you tell them and teach them after they've got all the land patents. They've done everything right now. They were the perfect quarterback. They threw the ball in a perfect spiral right to the end of the field. And they put it in a receiver's hands, and he made his first touchdown. And now it comes time for the extra point. And the kicker sucks. Because the kicker is the county property tax building, where your tax assessor is. It's a tax assessor. And the tax assessor doesn't know his job. He might be kicking things the wrong way, like to the state's end of the field, not your end of the field. So he's making an extra point for the other team. And in doing so, he undoes what he did. And see, because you weren't taught, and it's not your fault, it's our fault. We're the teachers. And Ron failed, and he knows it. And now he doesn't do that anymore. But what happened is, after people put their property in land patent, the counties mail them out a tax bill in the mail. And this is one page. just a one-page invoice that they mail you. And everything on here is a lie. Everything on here is SMU. Everything on here is an administrative error. Everything on here is something they had no lawful right to do after you recorded your land patent and your grant deed. But it's legal for them to make administrative errors. It's legal for them to try and get you to contract because they're just a private for-profit corporation wanting your business. And so they send you a tax assessment and a tax bill. And it's got an amount on here. This one happens to be a total of $2,562.46. And they send it out to you after you've done all that work, you got your land patent in place, and nobody taught you what to do about it. And that's the teacher's fault. And failure to train, I am not going to do. Okay? There's a failure to train here. This is this important. I'm trying to emphasize the importance of it. Okay? See, I'm going to use a good friend of mine's property tax bill here. His property, and I want you to look at this. A land patent, I want you to think of it as a great big piece of concrete. It's a piece of concrete, goes from floor to ceiling, from here to that wall, from there to that wall, and it weighs so much that not even the biggest excavator could move it. Solid concrete. It's like a dam. Concrete dam across the river. It's huge. You can't move it. It's an immovable thing. It's a land patent. And that land patent has a great big, huge piece of steel coming out of it. We're going to call an anchor. And that anchor is going to have attached to it an anchor chain. And those anchor chains are so big, they're like the anchor chain on a shipping container shipping ship. The shipping containers are pretty big, right? Well, there's a ship that'll ship 5 of those ships across the ocean. It's so big. I saw one and I could not believe it. It makes an aircraft carrier look tiny. It's gigantic. They set 5 ships, shipping container ships, on top of a shipping container shipping ship. Let's try to say that 5 times real fast. Great big links of chain. What are those links? They're grant deeds. Grant deeds. And it's called a chain of title for that piece of property. A chain of title. And your property has a chain of title because this was created a long time ago. A long time ago. And we don't live that way. So there's a chain of title. The guy that was granted this immovable piece of property, which can't even be touched by a government, he was granted it by a president to his successors and or sons forever. Well, he lived out his life, and maybe he wanted to pass it on to his son. So he became the grantor, and his son became the grantee. And a grant deed was made and recorded, and it became a legal document. And also is a lawful document. Now, maybe he got old, and he wants to pass it to his son, so he became the grantor, and they became the grantee. And all property shall be a land patent. All property shall be transferred via grant deeds. All property shall be described in metes and bounds, and that is the law. That's what's law. That's what's clear and concise and written down. And that's the way it's worked for centuries, up until it started getting corrupt. Well, sometime after that 30-year period between 1905 and 1935. And what happened is this. They started training people to put their blinders on, and their focus got narrower and narrower and narrower until they're just doing their job. And I'm going to use you guys in the front row. And you're an appraiser. And you're a real estate agent. And you're an escrow officer. And you could be an escrow attorney. And you laugh about that. And a county recorder. And a plot planner at the county. And a tax assessor. And so, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different positions, right? And in each one of you go to work every day and you just do your job the way you're trained, following your policy manual over and over and over again, and you're honest and you're righteous, and you got a family, and you go home and you just live your life, you get your paycheck, and you go to the grocery store. I mean, normal people, right? Not one of them thinks they're doing anything wrong. And by gosh, in reality, they're not doing anything wrong in their job, because they're doing what their job pays them to do. Now, here's the problem. I put them all on the same table, and I teach them this, and now they're a mafia. They're a mafia group, and they're conspiring together to steal your land. Now, you think the real estate agent wakes up every day as pretty as she is, and gets up and she goes down and shows people property, and she shows them the lipstick on the pig. I used to hate other builders. I built with quality. The last time my houses, some of them I built 25, 30 years ago, look like they're brand new today. There's houses that were built 10 years ago that are falling freaking apart because builders build with lipstick on a pig. They'll build a crappy house, and then they'll put granite countertops and nice flooring and pretty chandeliers and paint nice and decorate it and add some furniture to sell. That's lipstick. That's rouge. Okay? They gotta sell it. But in reality, they're conspiring to steal your home through the county on behalf of the state of corporation. They don't know it individually. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. I forgive you. Everyone. Until I teach you what it means. And you keep doing it off with your heads. Right? What does Daniel say in the Bible? Go to your neighbor. Tell them. If they commit sin, tell them again. If they do it again, forgive them. They do it one more time, off with their heads. That's how we're supposed to act. That's what we're supposed to do. Put them on notice. Not just once. $30, $15, $10, that is judgment day. That's the first notice, that's the second notice, that's the third notice, and then off with their head. It's that simple. Banking law. It's God's law, actually. told us exactly how we're supposed to act against the money changers. All right, now back to that. They mailed this out. It's an offer to contract. Right now, I want you to change your vocabulary. Anything you get in the mail in your name is a presentment. Because I'm going to teach you to start being kings. Don't get in trouble until you are the king, and then you won't get in trouble. King can do anything he wants. Okay. You get in trouble along the way while you're still a squire and a knight, you're going to get your head cut off by the king. That's what a sovereign citizen is. People who have just